Do you ever have these moments where you speak and you feel that you derail an entire conversation within 1 to 2 sentences? Or you're talking in a group and everybody's like chattering, talk, and then the moment that you interject one word, one syllable, or even one sentence, kabam, the group goes completely silent. As an autistic individual, that is my near daily reality. As someone who's actively trying to make friends and trying to figure out how do group dynamics work, and how do I converse in a way that people can relate and enjoy my interests, where I also reciprocate and find joy in that interest. And yes, that does include shared spaces such as the mountains, water, slot machines, or this Christmas decoration which is behind me. Tonight, I had a really rough go with a conversation. Me and somebody who I just met, we were just talking about one of our favorite interests. I'm not going into too much detail just out of privacy reasons and respect of privacy. And yes, another tangent that I go on is that yes, I repeat myself numerous times, and because of how I communicate, sometimes I say the same thing 5 to 10 times before my mind can translate my thoughts into verbal words. That is why it is way easier for me to actually write than to verbally communicate, which is why I feel that most of my most successful friendships initiate on the internet and then move into in-person or frequent visits, which actually led to me some of my closest friendships ever. So thank you everybody who is my friend and who I can consider a friend, and who considers me a friend too. So going back to the conversation, this person that I was having a conversation, I make a joke. I was thinking that the joke was very fitting of the conversation because what I can tell you is it was about like a top secret agent, and I'm like, oh no, maybe you can send me these photos on Snapchat. Next thing you know, I am left on red. And this anxiety is building up, like saying, what did I say? What did I do wrong? That is all the thoughts that are racing into my mind. Because historically, whenever it comes to conversations or conversing, especially in middle school, high school, and even some of elementary school, when I finally learned how to speak after years of intensive speech therapy, the moment I spoke, people would A, say, haha, yeah, B, give me the, what did you just say, look, or C, talk over me, completely ignoring what I contributed to the conversation. So unfortunately for me, whenever my messages are left on read for an extended time period, for an extended time period of like days or weeks, but sometimes if I'm talking with somebody and all of a sudden, and we're just talking back forth, bam, then all of a sudden, I get left on red. Whoop, the conversation completely halts. I'm like, oh, whoa, what the heck's going on? Did I say anything wrong? Is there anything that I did wrong? I instantly found myself apologizing, and I said, I do apologize if my Snapchat joke was misinterpreted, and I do apologize if I crossed the line. Message has been left on read. So now my mind is absolutely racing because logically I know, like emotionally I know that I feel like I completely messed up. That potential friendship is normal. However, logically, when it comes to messages being left on read, I am well aware that some people leave their devices, including laptops, open on like the social media pages, on the social media page where we are communicating, and sometimes they completely forgot that a tab was left open, or they had another responsibility or obligation that meant that the message got read, but they did not have the time or wherewithal to respond in that moment, or even within months or weeks, which I completely understand. But yet emotionally, coming from somebody who has a history of saying something, the conversation goes whoop, cuts off. It is a little worrisome for me, to be honest. The reason I am discussing that is I am not sure if I am the only autistic I'm not sure if I'm the only autistic eyes raised, but I forgot to mention that everything I'm saying comes from an autistic perspective. So I just realized that I began to wonder, am I the only autistic who has these similar experiences when it comes to messages or in-person conversations? Or am I the only one? And definitely, the already isolating world can feel rather lonely whenever you wonder if there is anybody when you begin wondering if anybody else has similar or shared experiences as you. I know this is a lot to take in. So sometimes I gotta remind myself to inhale, exhale, and do a lot of deep breathing. And sometimes things can get so overwhelming, especially my anxiety right now. I can't tell you just how intense my anxiety is right now. I actually find it, let me do something real quick. If what a life. One moment, thanks everybody for your patience. Whoop. Going back to my point, here's an object. Going back to my point, when it comes to that kind of anxiety, especially social anxiety, I actually find it rather effective to focus all of my attention onto a singular object. I do my very deep breaths, count of 3 breathing, and I actually begin looking at an object. I think, what color is this object? What is this object made out of? How is this object manufactured? And if I can hold the object, what does the object feel like? Unfortunately, I not have Willy Wonka television or Wonka vision quite yet. Still working on that. So this is the closest I can get to like having like to being able to feel what an object is. Asking myself these questions while looking at an object, especially if it is a comfort object, actually proves to be a really pleasant distraction when it comes to my mind spiraling and wondering if I did or said something incorrect, especially when it comes to conversations and especially when it comes to social dynamics. Well, I really want to thank all of you for taking the time being here with me today. And without further ado, if you enjoy hearing my perspective as an autistic individual and how I see the world, please be sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to Somewhere with Simon. That would mean the absolute world, and we will see you in the next video. Right now, see ya!